our next and final speaker today. Stage just flew right by. Mr. Kevin Wells. Kevin is an award-winning Catholic author, speaker, and former Major League Baseball writer with the Tampa Bay Tribune. Kevin loves baseball, reading, and backyard bonfires, my kind of guy, and he lives in Maryland with his wife and 3 children. I've personally read a couple of his books. He's an incredible writer. I highly encourage you to check out his works. Kevin wrote a great book on his favorite saint, which is Saint John Vianney. His favorite movie is Braveheart. Derek Jeter is his favorite athlete. Yeah. And, sorry. Yeah. And Kevin wants us to remember that men today must strive to sacrifice and die to everything that does not reveal the power of Christ, wherever we find ourselves, but most importantly in our homes, our neighborhoods, and workplaces. Get this, Kevin he's such an awesome witness to Christ that when he was working for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, back in the Jose Canseco, Wade Boggs era, by the time he left that job, they were just called the Tampa Bay Rays. They used to be the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Coincidence? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was Kevin's influence who literally took the devil out of Tampa Bay. I just made all that up. Kevin's going to be talking about our 4th pillar, sacrifice. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Kevin Wells.
Gentlemen, can you hear me? You guys in the back? All right. I'm Irish and I'm a storyteller, and as Joe just mentioned, I'm an old sports writer, so I do tell stories, so let's just start there. Let's wrap this whole thing up with stories. You've got so much of the gold nuggets today, and let's just kind of release a little bit now. And let me do my my little sports writing thing, Catholic style. Just turned 40, and I was on this retreat that I've been going on for about 20 years. My family had been going on this retreat since the 1950s. It was always during Advent, always very cold. You're hard-pressed to find a prettier place on the eastern seaboard of America. Sits way up on a cliffside. It overlooks the Potomac River, and I love the place. But this particular year, I think because I turned 40, everywhere I went, adoration, a talk, didn't matter, walking around, talking to guys, it was a silent retreat, so I could hear more, and it was, you're not a mature Catholic man, you're not even close. Like, you have thorns of pride, you got too much sloth, you're a decent husband, you're a pretty good dad, but man, there's so much more in your tank. And this was poking in my head the whole weekend. I had never had a retreat like this, and it was right. It was bam. You're not getting it done. So I had this retreat, sort of, I guess we would call it a hallmark of what I would do. The last night before we left, I would go down, climb down this really big hill, down to the dock on the Potomac River. And it was very cold this night, and I'm walking down the hill, and I'm thinking about what an insufficient and immature Catholic man I am, because it was clear. I'm getting older now. I'm 40, and these scabs, these barnacles, they're forming my personality. And I was walking down this hill. It was way out in the country, so the stars. And on this night, it was kind of like a full moon. And it was like God was sitting on a stool, shaking his head, kind of stroking his beard, looking down into me and saying, "Why are you coming back? Because you're going to go to the dock and you're going to tell me that you're going to go back home and be a saint and all this stuff you heard Father say. And you know what happens. The jig is up, because the 6th thing that annoys you is all going to shatter and you're back to the same man you always are. So why are you here? Why are you coming back to the dock to speak to me again and lie?" And my thought is, yeah, God, I shouldn't be on the dock, because I'm sick of it too. This is a weekend incubator for me to feel like a saintly guy, right? The jig's up, God. You're God. And something came to me on that dock that night. It was very cold, and the water was slapping up against the dock. The waves, it was kind of choppy that night. And it was this: God, I'm sick of it, and you're sick of it, and I don't want to go to hell because it's getting old. There's more in me. So God, it had to be the Holy Spirit, because I had never considered this for a second in my life. It was this: God, strike me down and you make it violent. because maybe there's some symmetry here to your Father sending you down to endure an act of violence to redeem all of humanity. God, maybe if you flatten me, stick me on the ground, maybe if I get up, I can be redeemed. So God, make it violent. Mom and Dad taught me that this type of prayer was answered 100% of the time. I grew up in a big Catholic family. I knew the other shoe was going to drop. I didn't know how, but I knew it was going to come. Exactly 1 month later, almost to the exact ticking second, it was like somebody flung a tomahawk into the back of my skull. I had a brain aneurysm. Many people with this, the type I had, die instantly. Rushed me to the hospital. I couldn't get the blood out of my head. My blood was drowning. They couldn't go into my head to do invasive brain surgery because it was deep into my brain. So they kept sticking me in these CT tubes to sort of take a look where the blood was, and sometimes we would thread something up and try and embolize the blood or glue it or get to the bleeders, get to the malformation. And I was a rag doll. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. But I had awareness, and I knew that I was dying because they couldn't get to the blood. My brain was drowning. So this third time I was in this tube, it was about 5 days in, they stuck this contrast into my arm so they can get a better look at the blood, so maybe they could sort of glue it a little bit better. So when they put the contrast in, they shoved me into that claustrophobic tube. That started to feel like a coffin at this point, and I started to vomit. I thought I was going to die of a brain injury, and now I'm going to choke to death. God, this is your plan for my end. God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die now. And I got to tell you, gentlemen, I don't know how many have been close in this room. I know a few of you have, but I was this close. I'm either going to die of this or I'm going to choke to death. And I said, man, I got about 15 seconds, 30 seconds. Maybe I got a minute. But I wasn't thinking about the whoppers of sins of my past. You know what I was thinking? I remember this clear as day, as if I'm still in the tube. I was thinking, I didn't love well enough. I didn't love well enough. I had more in the tank, and I didn't pour myself out. And that's a pretty stinking and delicate thing to bring on Judgment Day, which was 30 seconds away. The shuck and jive is over. I didn't love well enough. I swallowed the vomit down because I wasn't eating anyway. 2 days later, they told my wife, Krista, we gotta go in the back of his head because he's dying, he's drowning now. So they went into the back of my head for about 7 or 8 hours, and surgeon came out and told Krista, we got to some of the bleeders, but we can't get to the malformation. If we go any further, he's dead. He dies. So this was the day for me to die. My father, my uncle was Monsignor Tom Wells, Father Tom Wells, one of my best friends. He was murdered. My dad's brother, Monsignor Tom Wells, murdered in his rectory. His best friend was Father Jim Stack. I knew Father Stack well. Father Stack had just started a healing ministry at this point, and Krista called him up and said, hey, Father, is it true that your hands are anointed and you're healing people? Oh, yeah, Krista, it's kind of a new thing. Yeah, get to Baltimore. Why? Kevin's dying. And I knew Father Stack well. An hour later, Father Stack comes in. I was incapacitated. I just had brain surgery. I don't remember any of this. Father Stack came into my neuro ICU room. This is kind of the way he talks, Father Stack. He looks like a boxer. He's a weightlifter. He doesn't smell like incense. He smells like sweat. So my uncle called him, hey, Stack Man. He's like, hey, Tom, what's up? This Stack Man's here. And he said, Kev, it's Stack Man. Hey, listen, you're in a bad jam here. We've been praying the rosary and calling on the saints, and we know the saints can intercede now. Is there a saint that we can call on now for you? And I was incapacitated. I'm dead. And he said, if he was here right now, standing where I am, he'd say that without moving my eyes, moving my head, I said, bring Tommy down, my uncle, his best friend, bring my uncle down, who I traveled the world with. And then the room changed, and the lights popped, and the temperature dropped. And Tom Wells and his assistant knew they were standing in the center of something natural, supernatural. And the next day, everything was gone. The blood, the fluids, the AVM, the malformation. It was a miracle. Get out of here. Go home. Go. Get out of the hospital. Go home. We don't know what's going on. Go. Enjoy the rest of your life. It's all stinking gone. Well, what happens, guys? We know what happens. Devin got into it. Ryan got into it. Tim got into it. What happens? Everything changes. Man, I get home, double rosaries, weekday mass. I'm pouring out more measures of love, right, guys? Love at home, sacrificing better. Prison ministry, men's group, all the easy stuff, all the heirlooms that any guy would do when they're this close. Yeah, man, life's good. Life's great. God, yeah, thanks. Thanks, God. You answered my prayer, man. Let's go. The great philosopher Mike Tyson, you might remember him, the boxer Mike Tyson. Right before a fight against Lennox Lewis, he said, yeah, man, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. My wife began to secretly binge drink red wine. Why? What's up with this? Doesn't make any sense. Krista, we married 10 years. Good marriage. Good marriage. What's going on? I was going on one road and she was going down the other. Why? Because where I was going was shaming her. I had become her mom. Krista didn't know that she had a mother wound, an Olympian-sized mother wound of shame. Hey, Krista, you got to lose a little weight as a 7-year-old. Krista, why can't you be a cheerleader like your sister? Why are you on the back of a horse? I transmogrified into her mother. Everything changed. Obviously, the essence of Satan is to die, or to lie, to disrupt, to destroy. So he just said, Kevin's telling you you're not measuring up, that you're a loser. Kevin's your husband, but he thinks you're a loser because he's doing things now that you're not doing. So, Krista, I want you to kill your shame by the bottle. Get another one, buy another one, buy another one, buy another one. I didn't know what was going on. Krista didn't know what was going on, but she never got that stinking wound healed. And all the street lights to our marriage began to blink out. Had 3 kids, 3 small kids. The days just stretched on. The years stretched on. I couldn't get her to stop. Rejected counseling, AA, anything. The more I tried to plead, to encourage, to say, fight for the kids, sweetie, fight for the kids, the more she hated me. And the more she stank and drank. Satan was all over my... Guys, I hope you know that Satan is real. My God, I hope you know Satan is real. I think everyone in this room does. But man, was he attacking. I mean, he was attacking in ways, you got to read my book. He was attacking in ways that were 5th ring of hell bad. And he kept mocking me. Kevin, dude, you're stuck with her. It's killing your family. She ain't changing. Krista hates you. You know it. God doesn't hear you. He's dead in this. And she's going to drink again tonight. So Satan screamed polyphonically when God didn't whisper. And the years rolled on. Finally, one day, somebody had given me a copy of Teresa of Avila's spiritual masterpiece, Interior Castle, and someone else gave me a book on John of the Cross's readings, and finally, a pinhole of light came. It was contemplative prayer. You've got to go to intense silent, mystical prayer. So every day before dawn, I'd get up at around 5, I'd light a candle, sit in my chair, and I used to take this spiral staircase. I'm Irish, right? I built this like thatched cottage in my soul, and I'd go way down, and my thatched cottage was always like a little peat fire, an image of the Sacred Heart, a low-ceilinged hut, and I had 2 benches by the fire and a couple cups of tea. And I sat there, and the bench right there for Jesus was often empty, but I would just sit there because I had learned from Teresa and John on the Cross, just sit. And a lot of days he didn't come. But over time, sort of peace would come in, and finally, Jesus started to come in pretty much every day, and he would sit across from the bench from me, right next to me, in front of the fire, and I'd give him his cup of tea, and I'd smile. I'm like, yeah, you're here with me. You're my wingman with me in this. And we would talk for hours, but we wouldn't say a stinking word. He said nothing, and I said nothing, because he knew it and I knew it. And then he began to speak into me. He said, Kevin, nail yourself to the cross. I don't care what you did last night. I don't care that the kids are getting older and they're starting to realize. I don't care that it's getting worse. Nail your stuff to the cross. And you know what? Nail your unknowingness of Christus' recovery to the cross, because that's a tough one for you, isn't it? Well, give that to me too. My boy Ryan was talking about surrender. Surrender that one to me too. Forget about any consolations. Forget about any good stretches. Forget about all marital entitlements. No timeline of recovery. Forget it all. I couldn't stop the booze. Doesn't matter, Kevin. Nail yourself to the cross. Annihilate everything in your life that isn't directed to sticking your wife on your back and climbing up that hill. Because, Kevin, you asked for this. I'm like, Jesus, what are you talking about? I didn't ask for this. This thing stinks. I'm sick of it. Like, I am sick of this. Oh, son, you don't understand. Did you think that the brain aneurysm and the failed surgery was the answer to the violence you asked for all those years ago? Oh, son, Kevin, no. Now is my answer to your request for violence. That the brain aneurysm? No, that was to knock you on the ground to get ready for this. All the rosaries, all the holy hours, all the penances, the cold showers, the spiritual reading. That wasn't the answer. The brain aneurysm, no. That was my gift to you. Now is the violence that you asked for today. Hey, Kevin, will you nail yourself to the stinking cross? Because I think you can. Hey, Kevin, pick Krista up, put her on your shoulder as she is my cross. Pick your busted up marriage and put it on your shoulder and get up there. And at my cross, lay her down gently. If you got to put her in some mud, if you got to put her in some of the puddles of my blood, all the better. Put her down gently. And then get up. Krista is 6 years healed now. Sacrifice. What is sacrifice? What is victimhood? I was helped by a holy hermit, Father Martin Flume. Is Father Flume on the screen? Was on the screen. Father Flume, the big bearded, there he is. He healed Krista. He helped me heal Krista. He was my wingman. Let me tell you what Titans look like. Let me tell you what sacrifice is. Chris was healed in COVID 2020 because he didn't shut down his masses. He didn't shut down the spiritual direction, the weekly confessions. He left holy hour adoration open for Krista 3 hours a day because he said, this is the medicine will heal you. After he saw the demons released on America Street after COVID, he asked his bishop in D.C., will you give me my release? I want to give the rest of my life over to God as a consecrated hermit. The remainder of this guy's life, I will never see him again on this side, and neither will you, is a Holocaust for you. He has thrown away his life like a log meant for the fire with intense mortifications. Like, we're talking Anthony of the Cross. Severe penances. Every moment of his life is given over to prayer. Why? For you. He wants to heal the church. He wants to heal the priesthood. And he wants to heal the West. That man right there is a Holocaust. That's what sacrifice resembles. Let's go to the next slide. Wrote a book about that gentleman right there, Venerable Aloysius Schwartz, on the path to canonization. He raised his hand in 1957, last day of seminary, wanted to be a missionary, and he asked his rector, what's the worst place in the world? The rector's like, what? What's the worst place in the world? Post-war Korea? Over 1 million died. Do they need priests? Got off in the southern peninsula of Korea, December 8th, BC the Immaculate Conception, 1957, he saw a dystopian novel. Lepers, as a crime syndicate, rubbing their limbs off people's bodies to steal their money. Women underneath bridges, orphans laying over like on the streets like leftover war shrapnel. TB up on the mountains where they went left to die. The tuberculosis is the big thing. He said, my God, Lord, I'm all alone. What do I do? He said, you want to help the poor? Then you become poor. And he pointed to the shack, where 5 years, that man said, if I'm going to amputate my comfort of an American priest, I will die to myself in that shack. No running water, no heat, no electricity, nothing. Rats smelled. For 5 years, he stayed there where the walls acted like a wine press to crush him into a libation where he knew he could enter the poor, where it would just flow out into the streets. These years later, he's saved hundreds of thousands of lives by building boys' towns and girls' towns all over the world. Today, as I speak, right now, this instant, over 21,000 children are being taken care of. I think because he went to the shack for 5 years and learned what the martyrs and the mystics and the desert fathers did. That's a sacrifice. He changed the world. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, this guy. Guy failed out of seminary 3 times, Forrest Gump. When he went to Ars, France in 1818, he was told they all left the faith. There's only about 8 that are going to Mass on Sunday. His first recorded prayer by Truchot on that winter day in 1818, he knelt down in his parish that was just, the run of the litter of all the shrines in France, and he said, Lord, for 100 years, give me the most violent pains. Let me suffer. Just lead my people back to you. 20 years later, everyone came back. A couple years after that, they built a new train line to Lyon, where hundreds of thousands of French men and women began to pilgrimage down to Ars so they could see this obscure man who they were told could read souls in the confessional, where he was 12 to 14 hours every day. Why? Because he wanted to throw his life into the fire for souls. That's what sacrifice is. Let's go to the next one. Oh, that guy. That guy. Brain, we know the story, brain cancer. What do I do? Oh, I know what I'll do. I'm going to take those abused by clergy depravity, those abused by priests who were fiends, and I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to tell them I'm going to take them into the surgical table, and I'm going to puff out their names like incense whenever a shot goes in, when the knife goes in, whatever happens. I give this. I'm going to nail myself to the cross of these people, and I'm going to suffer. I'm going to take on the manifestations of what they've gone through. Father Hollowell had no idea what he was saying. Because when you say that to God, 2 more surgeries follow. And then you think you're cured. No, you're not. The cancer comes back. And it was time for Father Hollowell to die. Because I don't want to deal with chemo and radiation again. Those days are dead. I know. I'm done. I'm good with dying. You sure, Father? Yeah. All of the things that happened, the characteristics that happened to the abused, happened to him. Suicidal. Give me more painkillers. Father Meyer, get out of my room. Mom and Dad, I'm sick of you. I don't want to talk to you. When you tell Jesus, give me their stuff, give me their junk. Oh, you want it, John? You want to nail yourself to the cross for them? How about I nail it to you? He took it on. That's what sacrifice is. What happened when he went to Lourdes, France, and said, Mary, is it time? Is it time for me to meet your son? No, dude. No. Mary doesn't say, dude. No, Father. No, Father. You're one of my special ones. Cancer's gone. Cancer's gone. A team of Lourdes doctors right now call it a miracle. We'll see. Next guy. Oh, that guy. So, he's not that good. Come on, guys. I do not know. I got a lot of priest friends. I'm from a family of priests. My brother's a priest, uncle. I got a lot of priest friends. I do not know a priest in America that's more magnanimous to him. If you don't know what it is, look it up. I'm not telling you. This priest was told about 12 years ago, shut all the parishes down. Shut them down. A secret smile kind of grew on Father Meyer's face when he got to meet the folks. They're all open, and he extended. Dearborn County, Indiana, is one of the fastest growing Catholic communities in the world. Why? Because he's a sacrifice. He's a victim. What does he have in his bedroom? He has John Vianney's bedroom. He has a replica of John Vianney's bedroom. Some priests will say, what a freak, what a weirdo. Little too much, John, little too much. Nah. Why does Father Jonathan Meyer have a replica of John Vianney's bedroom in his bedroom? Because every day that he puts his head on the pillow for sleep and every day he wakes up, he wants to be reminded what victims must do. You might be thinking, they're all holy priests, I'm not that. You got no excuse. Here's why you have no excuse. Because athletes knew what they did. I was blessed to cover some of the greatest athletes in the history of the world. I covered Shaq, Jordan, Griffey Jr., Cal, Jeter, Kobe. Every single one of them nailed themselves to the cross to win as many games as they could. They bled out, they suffered, they sacrificed. Lonely nights in the gym, they'd wake up at 4 a.m. to start working out. They weren't soft. They rejected softness. They threw it out like it was a disease. Why? Because they knew the burden of their identity was to win a higher cause. Cal Ripken, you guys ever heard of Cal Ripken Jr.? I'm from Baltimore. I've interviewed Cal many times. I've seen 1,000 of his games. I love baseball. That guy right there. You know why in Baltimore, like the short order cooks, the cops, the bricklayers, the dock workers, you know why they love that guy? Because he never took a day off. He never quit. He understood the burden of his identity was to sacrifice. His record of 2,131 games would be like you guys going to the moon, riding a bicycle to the moon. It will never be broken. It's the most unbreakable record in sports. Why? Because he was a poured out sacrifice for the Baltimore Orioles for 21 years. The centerpiece of a Catholic man is an identification with Jesus Christ, the starved man on the cross. And I am least like Jesus Christ when I am comfortable. Remember my thought in that tube. You didn't love well enough. You're too comfortable. Catholic manhood must be connected to suffering. It must be connected to the cross. There's a moral pus that's covering America now. We don't need to go into Epstein Island. It's a moral pus, but we're starting to see the different rings of hell. Devil's not hiding anymore. We know it. The devil's showing his face. And he's like, yeah, man, I don't care. I used to hide from you guys. No more. Let me just show you who I am. A lot of Catholic men I'm seeing, I don't judge anyone because I'm a clown. A lot of Catholic men, they hope to be saved without doing too much violence to themselves. But I don't think it works that way. Jesus was the poor man of Nazareth who slept in deserts, whose only companion was Satan out there. And after drinking that nasty cup, the poisonous cup, the bitter cup in Gethsemane, he watched his friends leave him to hang naked, alone, in front of his mother. There was nothing romantic or comfortable about Jesus' life. Why should it be for Catholic men? And the Catholic men I most admire are the ones that have quiet and hidden dignity, and as leaders of the families, they know the burden of their identity as shepherds in the home, or a shepherd on the hillside, or ideally in chanceries and rectories. A shepherd must confront and kill the wolf. What is the greatest wolf in the world today? Man, it's comfort. There's no number two, okay? Pornography, that's comfort, okay? We're not going to... It's comfort. It is comfort that gave rise to the crisis of credibility in the Catholic Church. Too many Catholic bishops, priests, Catholic men have traded sacrifice for comfort. We are soft. We are soft. Men's essence, as Devin mentioned this, men's essence is just to die and protect. That's our nature. Remember the queen bee, man. The queen bee, she's got to be sustained. She's got to live on. The male bee, man, he just goes off and dies. Who cares about the male bee? You're gone. You're done. Protect the male. Protect the queen bee. And I know there's men here that came here today that you want to strip the skin of your comfort, and awesome. That's great. But I got to say this. Before we climb that mountain of William Wallace and Cal Ripken and all the paragons and titans and martyrs and saints, we got to see when the fracture began. It's very important to know when the fracture began, because if we don't know when it began, then we can't recover the way it used to be, what Catholic manhood once resembled. 60 years ago, a Molotov cocktail was dropped into the American landscape when teenagers, 500,000 teenagers and young adults gathered at Woodstock. Peace and love filled TV screens. Everything was great. A new sense of autonomy, awareness. Man, this is great. And in the times of Vietnam, it's good. It's not a bad thing. Ignored, though, was that a major part of the newfound autonomy involved love without consequences. Drugs, rock and roll. Now, here's where it gets interesting, boys. Boys, please listen. All at once stable Catholic homes became battlegrounds of parents and children, rebellious teens. Pot smoke in the bedroom. We got a boyfriend coming over who's got a ponytail down to his butt, and mom and dad are like, what's going on? I don't understand this music. That's Hendrix. Get with it, Mom. That's Hendrix. So they sought the church. They saw priests to help them save their families. But it did not happen. In fact, as the revolution spread, the mortal side of the Catholic Church dispossessed its paternal authority for the first time ever. It rode the crest of Vatican II, and the mystical bride began to demystify. She began de-emphasizing traditions and pious customs. The supernatural dimension of the church began to fade away. And men forgot who they were. Slowly, little by little, men forgot who they were. What's today? February 21st, 2026? Back in the early 70s, the rosary was trivialized. Well, we don't see Mary anymore, so you know what we see. We see that image on our phone of a naked woman. Mary's been replaced for that woman. Meatless Fridays were no longer obligatory. So Catholic men, every Friday throughout America of the year, they just go to steakhouses. They don't think about it. And because few Catholic families consecrate Sunday anymore to the Lord, millions of Catholic men will show up tomorrow on sidelines, millions, to watch their kid race down the field. Dispensation. It's a tournament. We couldn't make a mass. 40-hour devotions disappeared in the 70s. Today, 40-hour Netflix binges. Family work days at parishes, those glorious old family work days at parishes, they're replaced by liability paperwork and liability concerns when all a man wanted to do was help Father Meyer and Father Hollowell pour some leaves out of the rectory gutter. I don't want to extrapolate anymore. We don't have the time. Man, I wish we had about 3 more days so I could talk about this stuff. Again, when the church made things easy, men forgot who they were. Father Meyer and Father Hollowell, you know who they are? They are tipped over chalices of sacrifice for you men, for the world. Why? Because they've nailed themselves, their identity, to the cross. They're not soft. Are you soft? Am I soft? I was in that CT tube. You know how Aquinas defined effeminacy? Aquinas defined effeminacy as when a man saw something that needed to be taken on, like a fire or a woman's getting slapped in the face or there's a disease or something, a man's got to step into it to put the thing out. A man steps back. Why does he step back? This is very, very important because it takes away from his comfort. It takes away from his comfort. The root of the Catholic Church's Summer of Shame in 2018 was bishops and clergy who knew about McCarrick, but I'm not taking it on. Shh. They didn't step into it. Aquinas nailed it. They didn't step into it. Gentlemen, what happens when men don't step into things? Cataclysm. A single wall splits the world today. One side are those that genuflect to God, the other side who genuflect to disorder. One side, willing saints rise. The other side, demons roam. One side worships an eternal God, the other a God who has green-lighted and blessed depravity. One side are devoted to prayer, on the other are those who never pray. One side proposes Christ in a sin-darkened world, and the other hates them for it. One side dies to self and lives, the other lives for self and dies. Guys, all 1,500 of you should be on the edge of your seats. You should be on the edge of your seats because this is not pious Catholic cliche, rah, 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 let's get them, Wells is a sports writer. No. You should be on the edge of your seats because God wants you in this fight. We've heard the talks today. All of this, faith, integrity, prayer, all of this leads to sacrifice and being uncomfortable in this society that cannot stand you. God expects it out of you men. This 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing, this wall, I'll be on this side of the wall today. Yeah, no. Those days are dead. If Jesus could speak one word into this room, it might be, men, will you sacrifice now to find my children who no longer think of me? There's hundreds of millions that no longer think of me. Every man here has been brought to a moment of internal confrontation. Two questions. Who am I as a Catholic man today? Second question. Who do I want to be going forward in time? The good news is this: Catholic men are the answer to the darkness of the times, this present age. We have the truest anthropology. Guys, we got to pick up the cross. Enough of the game plan. We got to do hard things. Enough of the game plan. Enough of the reading books and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, man, I like Father Meyer with his homily today. Yeah, man, I got a candle. I'm going to heaven. No, dude. We got to do hard things for God now. It's all shuck and jive. Our Catholic life is shuck and jive if we don't do hard things for God now. I got a little bit of time. I wish I had 3 days, but I got a little bit of time. I want to propose just a few things that will help us pick up the cross in this world that will hate you. By the way, if you're not persecuted right now in your neighborhood or wherever you are, you're doing something wrong. I've lost a lot of friends lately. I've lost a lot of stinking friends. I've lost priest friends, a lot of priest friends. And I'm no holy ruler, I'm no saint. I just know what God has stuck in me. Get off your stinking butt and start doing things that please me. Nail yourself to the cross again, Kevin. You ask for violence, keep it. You think it just ends? Oh, Chris is fine now. Brother. We're going further. We're going deeper into the desert. You know why Ezekiel, Elijah, Moses, John the Baptist, you know why they loved the desert and didn't see it as a withering place to get withered and sand whipped and cold at night and I'm eating another bug and all that? You know why? Is because in the desert they could annihilate anything that wasn't of God. So God said, come deeper, come deeper. And those deserts became like palaces, palace floors, because they knew they had God. They didn't need anything else. They had God. So some suggestions maybe to help us nail ourselves to the cross in this world that has an Epstein Island in it. The first public address announcement. Catholic masculinity is not about bushy beards that are well-oiled, and it's not about the Cuban cigar and a $40 shot of whiskey. It's not about men sitting around in tweeds talking about the finer points of Bosco, Neri, Vianney, Damien the Leper. It's not about talking about them. Today it's becoming them. Put the stick and cigar down. Perhaps the greatest sacrifice that we can make today is give God today a commitment, the thing that you most cling to, that eliminates thoughts of Him. Pick your poison. I don't care what it is. Pick your poison. You know what it is. You got a conscience. We got to detach from the things that aren't of God, because we'll always be sort of half in, half out Catholic men if we don't work at detaching from these addictions, what we cling to. St. Teresa of Avila said, I'd rather be cut into pieces than commit a single venial sin. She also said, the king doesn't give himself to those who don't give themselves entirely to him. So maybe that's a start. Work on taking away those things you cling to. I also encourage every man here to get a spiritual director. If you don't have one, get one, because they can get a wise one, get a smart one, get a hard-working one. Get a Myron Hollowell, because they'll not only lead you to sacrifice, they'll lead you to heaven as saints, canonized saints. Start a plan of life. If you don't know what a plan of life is, ask your future spiritual director. But essentially, it's a daily set of goals, habits, practices that structures and orders your day to God. Nail a crucifix to your bedroom wall. Every man should have a crucifix on his bedroom wall. We need to be reminded as often as we can to that corpus on the cross. I don't care if other denominations and other folks took him down. Easter Sunday wouldn't have happened without the slaughtered lamb, without Good Friday. Jesus didn't jump off the cross. He just writhed on it, and he wants us to as well. Come on. He wants us to. The crucifix is our reminder every day, like Father Meyer has Vianney's bedroom. Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. If you feel like, it's hard for you guys to break your your patterns of comfort. It's all good. Hard for me too. I would suggest doing some kind of difficult things. Like start maybe like once a week, maybe like a midnight holy hour, or do things that are a little difficult. Pray a rosary cruciform. It's not easy. Like just try it. Like try that. Maybe kneel for a month without using the kneeler at daily mass, weekday mass. As we mentioned earlier, try and get to mass as often as you can, every day if possible. Confession, get into the box, get your stuff out in the box. Pray the rosary every day. Incorporate a consistent fast into your life. And pour out greater measures of love for your wives and kids, even when you don't feel like it. Last one. This one's kind of personal. But this is kind of how it works for me anyway. I love the saints. I think all you men love the saints. Most of you guys probably here have a patron saint or a couple of them. Mine's John Vianney. But it's kind of weird. I have I'm Irish. I kind of carry my soul, what I'll call a four-dimensional kaleidoscope of Johns. And each of these four Johns take me to a different dimension, a different demand of sacrifice. So my vision of John Bosco is, I got to go light. I got to go light. I got to play soccer with the kids. I got to have joy to sacrifice. And then I go to John the Baptist. And he reminds me, okay, yeah, it's good to go light, but you need to start mortifying yourself emotionally, physically, spiritually, and take on more self-denials and penances if you think you can proclaim Jesus Christ in this desert. So that's what John the Baptist tells me, one of the greatest prophets ever, if not the world. We know what Jesus said about him. No one better born to woman. John Vianney reminds me every waking hour of my life is wholly turned over to God. And every single comfort that I have, that I know of, it gets thrown into the fire. Because great things can happen. Hundreds of thousands of people came back to the French Catholic faith after Robespierre's revolution, took off their head, or people hundreds of thousands left the faith. John Vianney said, not on my watch. Last one's the most important one, I think. Bosco, Vianney, the Baptist, beloved John. Beloved John, he shows me this. He was the only one to walk the end of the line. The other apostles ran like losers, cowards into the desert, crying, wetting their pants. And this act of beloved John, who laid his head against his heart at the very end because he didn't know what else to do. This loving act of John pierces me with a single question, not asked by him, but asked by Jesus. Kevin, will you walk to the end of the line? Will you die for me? Thank you very much.